Hello everybody and welcome to the Redmen TV and your latest Liverpool news update. My name is Dan Clubb, as you can tell. I'm here for the next half an hour or so to have a chat about all the news doing the rounds that is even loosely related to the Reds, as you will see as we go along. The majority of it is very much related to Liverpool Football Club, but one piece of news in particular is kind of no longer related to Liverpool Football Club, but we'll get to that in due course. First and foremost, how is everyone? How are we? Hope everybody is well. Apologies, it's me in consecutive days. We've had to do a little bit of a reshuffle here at Redmen TV. The snow has wreaked havoc with normal routines and there's been school closures and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you've got me 2 days back to back, but good news, everybody, it will not be me tomorrow. Aren't you all glad about that? M. Durso says, good morning. Hope you are well, buddy. It's me today, Imran. Hope that's not disastrous news. Hope I haven't completely spoiled your day with that. Craig Flynn up the Reds as ever. Hi, mate. Hope you are good as well. Lee, I'm sound, buddy. Hope the same applies. Likewise with Tom Rooney. And yeah, Iggy LFC gets us into the actual news with Colwill would be boss for us. Thank you very much as well. Yeah, he would be boss for us. I tend to agree. And it's an interesting conversation, really. This come out yesterday. Liverpool obviously heavily linked with Levi Colwill back in the summer. Loads of news reports about it. I think the interest was very genuine, but it was always unlikely that we'd get him out of Chelsea because he's been there for a long time. He had a good season on loan at Brighton the year before, and Chelsea ultimately were desperate to keep their best talents and some of their best players because they themselves are looking to build something, albeit what they're building right now isn't exactly very aesthetically pleasing, is it? Nor was it very successful, to be dead honest, either. So, yeah, they were more in the business of buying loads of young players, not necessarily selling them. But the recent reports surrounding Conor Gallagher and him potentially needing to be shipped out because Chelsea need to make some money back on the old profit and sustainability, which is very much a thing in the news at the moment, of course, means that Levi Colwill's future is a little bit in the balance as well, because having come through the academy, any money they make on a player that Gallagher or Colwill will be pure profit. So it looks good on the balance books, essentially. And a report from 90 Min has claimed that Liverpool maintain interest in Levi Colwill despite signing a 6-year Chelsea contract. He only signed that contract last summer. As it mentioned, Liverpool and Brighton had been interested in a permanent transfer. It also mentions interest in Jonathan Tah, Kevin Mantilla and Facundo Gonzalez. Mantilla is a name that's been doing the rounds quite a lot in recent days, actually. A young Colombian fellow who I'm interested to see a little bit more of, to be honest. But this report says Liverpool are still monitoring Chelsea defender Levi Colwill, even though he signed a contract running until 2029 at Stamford Bridge. Not like Chelsea to hand out long contracts, is it? Very strange. 90 Min understand. Colwill was courted by Liverpool upon return to Chelsea following his successful loan spell at Brighton. Helping the Seagulls. Yeah, I'm not bothered about that. Liverpool still want Levi Colwill, basically. Let's talk about it. What do we think? Interesting one for me, as I mentioned. I was not desperate, that's too far, but I was all over this deal earlier on in the summer, to be honest, because it felt like it was a perfect fit. I thought it was absolutely outstanding for Brighton during his spell there. And it just felt young defender, very much fits the mould. Now, at the time, nobody quite knew how brilliant Jarell Quansah was going to go on to be. I think we all had high hopes for Jarell Quansah. I spoke to a few people who watched him a lot at Bristol Rovers and spoke very highly of him. One in particular, whose dad is a Liverpool legend and was formerly a Liverpool scout, himself said he will play for Liverpool's first team. About Jarell Quansah, even he didn't expect to see what he's up to now, essentially. It's been an absolutely astronomical rise. But clearly that spell out of his comfort zone at Bristol Rovers helped him become what he is now. So Liverpool have struck lucky ever so slightly with him, although the academy development has clearly played a part as well. But the Colwill stuff remains interesting because as good as Quansah is, Levi Colwill is a very talented footballer, clearly, albeit it's not really happened for Chelsea so far this season. But has anything happened for Chelsea? Could you honestly look at Chelsea now and talk about any real success stories? Cole Palmer, possibly a little bit. But even that, I mean, they bought him for a decent chunk of money as well. So a little bit of a stretch. But the Colwill stuff is interesting, as I say. He's only, I think he's 20 still. Let me just double check before I carry on talking. 20 years old, has already represented England at the senior international level, played 20 times this season for Chelsea in the Premier League, 1 goal, 1 assist, but that's by the by, really. What I'm more interested in is 16 times he's played at left back and 9 times he's played as a centre half. Now, I think all of us earlier on this season and indeed in the summer were talking about having a left-sided centre-half who could do both of those roles, because the way we play now, when Trent wanders into midfield, we need our centre-back to be able to invert and to be able to become another centre-back essentially. And Joe Gomez has done that brilliantly in the absence of Kostas Tsimikas and the other Andy Robertson, who I completely forgot existed for just a split second there. But I think we would all like to see another defender come through the door. And as I mentioned, Levi Colwill does tick a hell of a lot of boxes for Liverpool, if we're being really honest. So, interesting one. I think it cost a good amount of money because obviously, you know, he's at Chelsea. They're not going to let one of their talented players leave on the cheap, essentially. He's got that 6-year contract, as I mentioned, so there's no rush to sell him. However, the fact they need to make a bit of money back in profit might mean that they are obliged to sell somebody in the not-too-distant future. And why not Levi Colwill to Liverpool? Let's see what happens. Before I go on, Super chat from Butter Knight, £2. Thank you very much. Any update on injuries and transfers? Injuries, not necessarily. I did see Andy Robertson is back at the AXA. Liverpool are back in training today, and Andy Robertson was amongst them in terms of he was eating with them, he was saying hi to them, he was hugging them, and I guess the fact that he's hugging them was a positive, given the fact he had a shoulder problem. So yeah, I no updates necessarily. I think Szoboszlai is also still in contention for the Bournemouth game at the weekend. I don't think Andy Robertson's going to be ready for that, just to clarify. But I don't think he's too far away either. And hopefully Szoboszlai is back. Trent's still a good couple of weeks away from returning as well. And other than that, I don't think there are any sort of nearly players. Kostas Tsimikas is a couple of weeks as well. I don't think anybody's close. Pachetis and Thiago are the other two, aren't they? I think we're still 3 or 4 weeks away from even being close to seeing them back playing, to be honest. Maybe training before that, but I don't think we're going to be seeing either of them in a Liverpool shirt in the next couple of weeks, if I'm being really honest. And as for transfers, interesting actually. I'm going to touch on this now. I'll dive into the Colwill chat in a minute. I can see loads of you getting involved there. But on the transfer front, I seen this morning from Fabrizio Romano, a person who we all hold in pretty high regard when it comes to transfers. And he said in his daily briefing for Court Offside, this comes from Empire of the Cop as well, by the way, big shout out to them. Romano has said, as mentioned yesterday, Liverpool are exploring the market for potential new signings at centre-back, though it's not something urgent or guaranteed to happen this January. As we know, Liverpool generally prefer to do their business in the summer. He doesn't have any concrete names yet at this stage, but he was told that Liverpool have made some calls to some centre-backs agents to be informed on situations. It hasn't become a concrete negotiation as of now. It's not easy to find top players in the January window. That's the problem. So, that says a few things. It says Liverpool clearly are interested in a centre-back, which I doesn't think shock anyone, to be honest. He's right about the January thing. Liverpool don't necessarily like to do their business in January. That's not to say we haven't done, and we haven't done successful business in January, because we definitely have. And it also just shows you that I don't think anybody's really busy in this window right now, and I wonder whether there's a domino effect coming somewhere down the line, because I mentioned it yesterday. So far, we've seen one paid-for transfer in the entire Premier League this month, and it was Dragastan to Spurs from Genoa. So I just wonder whether 1 or 2 deals will start like a ripple effect, and all of a sudden there'll be transfers everywhere. That's not to say Liverpool will get involved, because as things stand, I'm not sure we will. But I just wonder, and I've said this a few times already, if one of the centre-backs that we like, one of these ones that Romano says we've made a call to, if all of a sudden one of our rivals, Man City, Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, whoever, European rivals I'm talking about there, obviously, if one of them suddenly makes a move for the guy that we really want, does that mean we act? We've done it in the past. I'm holding out hope, because I would like to see us buy another defender, if I'm being dead. And I want them to be young. We don't need to buy a 25, 26-year-old ready to go, plug and play. We've got Ibu Konate, we've got Joe Gomez, we've got Virgil van Dijk, we've even got Joel Quansah, who's kind of doing that job right now. Somebody to come in and ease the burden on those lads and just be an option between now and the end of the season would be perfect. If they came in, hit the ground running, and they were incredible, even better. But that's not a necessity. Just adding to the options that we have would almost be enough for me, given the fact that we've lost Joel Matip, of course. Anyway, Levi Colwill. Tom Mooney says, Cole will be a 4th choice behind. Possibly. Yeah, I think him and Quansah will be sort of battling out, wouldn't they? But is that a problem? Is that just a really good problem to have? I would say so. And given the fact that Liverpool are still in all 4 competitions, and we want to continue to mount in challenges across every single competition that we're in. Having that type of strength in depth is amazing. We've got 5 forwards for 3 positions. Why not have 5 centre-halves for the 2? Especially when I can say Colwill can play left-back as well. I do wonder what that means for Kostas Tsimikas' future if we do end up signing a left-sided centre-back who can play left-back. I don't know where Tsimikas goes from there, to be honest. But anyway, more chat now. Isaac McCarthy, yeah, he did, as mentioned in the report. Levi Colwill is well overrated, says Lee. He's not having him. Neither is Faz. Thanks, Emma. And afternoon to you as well, Flo. Hope you are well. I think overrated is a bit harsh, personally. Richard Billington says he opted to stay at Chelsea. And he did, but when you factor in that, like, he's been there for years, he's on their academy kids. Chelsea clearly had sway over a lot of footballers in the summer for whatever reason. Like, they might have all bought into this project that right now appears to be non-existent. So I don't, blame isn't the right word. I don't hold much sort of credence in the fact that he chose to stay at his boyhood club, I guess, in terms of where he's been for a long time. That doesn't bother me necessarily. Like, if you were a Liverpool player and one of our players was getting touted out with the Curtis Jones stuff in Arsenal, which is utter nonsense, by the way, the other week. Like, if Jones chose to stay at Liverpool instead of going to Arsenal, would that shock anyone? Like, no, of course it wouldn't. So it's a similar sort of thing, really. VVQ, that is the first time I've seen that. Virgil van Quansah, I like it. LFC, when is Trent back? It was originally reported as like a 3-week type thing, which would have put him touch and go for not the Bournemouth game, for the Chelsea game. Ironically, on the 31st of January, that's still the case as far as I'm aware. I've not heard anything on the contrary. I seen he was in Milan hobbling around like a fashion show the other day. But yeah, hopefully he's a quick healer and he gets back in time for that game. If not, it's probably more likely to be the Arsenal League game after that, which is a huge blow. As brilliant as Conor Bradley was in the Carabao Cup and indeed against Arsenal at their place, Trent Alexander-Arnold is just irreplaceable, absolutely irreplaceable. Nothing about Diamande today. I have seen Newcastle linked with Ousmane Diamande today, actually, I must admit. But no, nothing in terms of Liverpool, in terms of updates. He was mentioned in the Echo yesterday, wasn't he, as one of the ones we're looking at, which tends to mean that Liverpool do quite fancy the chances of signing him. Conflicted on this. Liverpool clearly still rate Colwill highly, but the last half year has not been good for him at all. Quansah looked well. Yeah, Quansah does look better, and this... It doesn't have to be Quansah or Colwill, I guess, and I know you're not saying that, but that's kind of the instant thing, and I do it as well, of course. Like, as soon as you've seen links to Colwill, you go, we don't need him, we've got Jarell Quansah. It doesn't have to be one or the other, is what I'd say on that, because I think Liverpool do need to sign a defender, a central one at some point, because we've lost Joel Matip. Like, Joe Gomez, as brilliant as he's been, and he has been brilliant, by the way, remains a player who's got a record of picking up injuries, let's be honest, and he's currently our right-back cover in terms of senior, and he's been our left-back cover for the past month as well. Sorry, I just got a Fabrizio Romano tweet on Bobby Firmino, not necessarily Liverpool-related anymore, but he was not leave Al Ettifaq this month, according to Fabrizio Romano. So Bobby is staying put, unlike his old teammate, Jordan Henderson. And I'll touch on that now, because that seems like a nice segue. I want to see what we're thinking about this one as well. Try and stay calm if possible. David Ornstein tweeted this morning. It's been sort of a badly kept secret for a couple of weeks now, I guess. Jordan Henderson has reached an agreement with Al Ettifaq to leave Saudi Pro League club. 33-year-old and Al Ettifaq are in the process of finalising contract termination. Henderson has agreed in principle to join Ajax. Details and paperwork are coming next. What do we think about this? Best move Hendo could have got. Ajax, obviously European superpower, European giants in many senses. Not having anything like the season they would like in the Eredivisie, I think it's fair to say. They were bottom of the league not too long ago. I think they're about 5th now. They've had a decent sort of turnaround in form since their most recent sacking of a manager, but they were absolutely horrendous, and the fans were absolutely fuming earlier on the season. I think they had like 2 or 3 postponed games consecutively. The fans just kept invading the pitch, and yeah, it was a bit of a mess. But Jordan Henderson went to Saudi, in his own words, for the project and to try and grow the game over there. And that was only last summer. He's leaving after just a few months there. What is it? Is it not what he expected? Is it the standard of football? Is it the training? whatever it is, like, Jordan Henderson remains an incredible figure in Liverpool's modern history, to be honest. He's one of the greatest captains we've ever had in terms of his leadership, in terms of what he offered, in terms of winning trophies as well. We'll never get away from that. Like, that exists. That's there. That's a thing that happened. But this last, speaking about, Colwill's half a year not going well, this last half a year for Jordan Henderson has not gone well. And unfortunately, this is the latest chapter in that, really. And again, I imagine he'll speak out on it at some point. I don't imagine it'll be soon. I imagine the Ajax stuff will kind of get done and it'll just be made up to be at Ajax. Because again, what a football club to join. Like, he's, for all intents and purposes, very much fell on his feet. But reputationally, I do wonder what he's done. I do wonder what he's done. And it's a shame in so many senses. And I know people have their opinion, and rightly so, on it. But yeah, I am interested in seeing what we think. I'm going to run through some other comments now, mainly on Levi Colwill, of course. And You Never Walk Alone 96 makes the point. I don't want Colwill. We have Quansah. He's looked brilliant in games. I'd go beyond looking good. Joel Quansah, he's been absolutely outstanding. And I would take absolutely nothing away. And if Liverpool came out and said, we don't want to sign Levi Colwill because we got Joel Quansah, I'd kind of get it. But I'm still in the camp, and you might have worked this out by now, I'm still in the camp of us needing a Joel Matip replacement, essentially. That's where I'm at right now. Or if it's not a Joel Matip replacement, is Quansah that? And do we need a Virgil van Dijk understudy instead? Possibly. Is Levi Colwill that? Let's just see. 20 million. Under 20 million. Good God. Yeah, I don't see us signing him for that, to be honest with you, mate. If that's your top end, I think we're well and truly out of that deal. Alejandro says, Diamande looks a bit slow from what he's seen so far, but he's a strong boy, yeah. I haven't seen loads of him. I've seen bits of him, to be honest. And I've been relatively impressed, as has Yilba here, clearly. And no, Liverpool never say they want anyone, really. I think the closest we ever came to Liverpool actually coming out and saying they wanted a player in the last, 20-odd years was when Jurgen Klopp spoke about Moses Caicedo on deadline day, and even that, we know what happened there, don't we? Nathan Weiss says he would take Hendo back now that his contract had been terminated. Never go back. I don't know. Not having that. Imran says Colwill's the only one at Chelsea you'd take. Yeah, I think that's probably fair, to be honest with you. I think, like I say, he's not set the world alight, and I think a lot of people have been pointing at the fact that he hasn't been incredible for Chelsea and going, we dodged a bullet there, much like we did with Caicedo and Lavia, by all accounts as well. But I don't know, with Colwill being 20, given what he did at Brighton beforehand, given the mess Chelsea have been in for the majority of this season so far, I think he is one you could look beyond, you could look a little bit deeper. And there's noticed people earlier on in the chat saying Levi Colwill under Jurgen Klopp would just be different. And I tend to fall on that side of the argument, personally. Gareth Williams says, I like Branthwaite, but can't see it happening for obvious reasons. Jared Branthwaite's a good player. And, we're meant to be all anti-Everton here, but he's a good footballer, very good footballer, solid. What he's like in terms of ball at his feet, being more of a progressive style centre defender that you'd need to be for Liverpool, remains in question a little bit, because Everton, again, not being massively disrespectful, aren't a team that dominate possession a lot, let's be honest. So I'd be interested to see that side of Jared Branthwaite. But I did hear somebody yesterday saying Everton might need to do a bit of a sale, essentially. And in terms of assets, it's probably Branthwaite, maybe Pickford, because somehow people still rate him as a keeper, and Onana, that would be sort of their most sellable assets right now. I think Calvert-Lewin's probably not that anymore. So it'd be interesting to see what does happen with Branthwaite and his future. I want to scroll down a little bit more in the comments. Yusuf clearly not having Levi Colwill there whatsoever. I'm going to see what Iggy... Iggy, did you come up with a random off-piste question yesterday? Because somebody did, and you're back again. I'm sorry. I almost regret bringing... I don't regret bringing this up. That's not kind. Just, it's longer than I thought. This is totally random. Maybe one day kind of question. Do you guys ever employ people? Yeah, I guess. Get in touch via the channels, which is this kind of. But email someone. Email me if you want. DM me. That's a good idea. DM me and then we'll go from there. Have we recorded? Nat Phillips is back at Liverpool Football Club. I'm yet to see him. I have seen him train once, maybe. I don't think he's been involved in a squad yet, has he? What happens to his future remains up in the air. And Liverpool might be waiting to see if we can do any business as well. I imagine Nat will be here until the end of the month at least. And then if Liverpool are happy with our lot in terms of our centre-backs, if nobody else has picked up any sort of problem or whatever, and Tsimikas and Robertson are back, because that frees up Joe Gomez, of course, maybe Nat Phillips goes back out on loan then. If Liverpool signs someone, Nat Phillips definitely goes back out on loan at least, maybe even a permanent transfer. I know Reece Williams, that was live on air yesterday. Reece Williams joined Port Vale for the remainder of the season yesterday. Nat Phillips, to me, I've said it countless times on these shows, he needs to be playing football. First team football somewhere. Absolutely has to be. And not to sort of belittle his ability. He's done a very good job for Liverpool, but it's not about... He's 26 years old. I'm not sure he can just hang around being the fifth choice from now to the end of the season. He deserves to be playing proper senior men's footy at a very good level, whether that be mid-table of the Premier League, bottom end of the Premier League, high end of the Championship, somewhere in Europe, whatever. Nat Phillips should be playing footy. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Oh, Mr. J. Man, that's a good point, actually. I didn't even really consider that, but the sell-on clause wouldn't have been huge anyway. Ajax is a good move for Henderson as well. I tend to agree. We don't need anyone. We've got Nat Phillips. Yeah, in a way. But I just think Nat Phillips needs to be playing footy. Like, I know I've just said it about 10 times, but I can't get away from it. For his own sake, go and play some footy. You can't hang around at Liverpool from now until June, just, training. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I agree with this, by the way. I was very much in the camp of him going back to Sunderland, to be honest, and trying to help them get promoted back to the Premier League. But yeah, he hasn't. He's got himself a good move, though. I think it's fair to say. Again, whatever you think about his decisions in the past 6 months, he's landed on his feet at Ajax. He'll be on a dramatically reduced wage, I would suggest. But in terms of luster and in terms of the moves you could have got, I don't think there are many better. Liverpool won't be playing Ajax either. Apart from in that Legends game, I can't imagine he'll be featuring it. Because Ajax finished third, I think I'm right in saying, in their Europa League group. Therefore, will be in the Conference League when European football comes back. Tyder Westfield, forgive me, maybe Tyder Westfield, whatever it is. Andre is still at Fluminense and Silva. We spoke about him yesterday in a little bit of detail, so I won't go into it too much. But yeah, I wonder whether that ship has sailed potentially now on Liverpool. And him, you never walk alone, says Quanta is better than Colwill. Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, if he's had his contract terminated by Al-Ettifaq, we won't be getting any of the selling clause. But again, was Jordan Henderson ever likely to move on from Al-Ettifaq for like upwards of 20 million? I would suggest probably not. So that selling clause was never likely to really shift the dial when it comes to Liverpool. I wouldn't listen. Any money coming in from a selling clause would have been welcome. I'm absolutely certain of it. But would it have been game changing for Liverpool in the transfer market? I very much doubt it. So yeah, don't worry about that too much. Here we go. Jacob Weddle says, for him, the centre-back question depends on where Gomez will play once Robbo and Tsimikas are back, especially considering Bradley looks good as Trent's backup. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, when you've seen the situation play out in front of your eyes, in which obviously we've lost Tsimikas and Robertson, rather, the likelihood of that happening again is very slim. Of course it is, but can we honestly, hand on heart, say that won't happen again, or we won't lose one of our centre-backs and all of a sudden... I mean, right now we've got no fit fullbacks, senior fullbacks available to us whatsoever, apart from Joe Gomez, who just so happens to be the versatile guy who plays across the entire back line, which is brilliant for him, but he can't be in all 4 positions at once. And again, the Conor Bradley point is absolutely spot on. Incredible performance, looks very much in line to play a part in Liverpool's squad for this season and beyond. Is he ready? I always do sort of doomsday scenario, which is a bit dramatic, but still. Liverpool playing Manchester City tomorrow at Anfield. We've got no Trent, no Tsimikas, no whoever. Are we ready for Conor Bradley and Joel Quanta? Possibly. Could we win that game? Quite probably. But is that what we really want to be doing? Yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah, the grass definitely isn't always greener, certainly when it comes to leaving Liverpool. We've seen that on numerous occasions now. Hello, Philip Coutinho, if you are watching. Douglas Luiz, worth 70 mil. Good player, having a very good season. Yeah, I'm not sure about 70 million. Hello as well, mate. I'm having a boss day. Hope the same apply. I had a really good chat. I should tell you this, actually. I had a really good chat this morning with a former Liverpool Academy coach, Anthony Godfrey. That'll be coming out on Plus at some point, probably later on today. He was boss. He was at Liverpool for over 10 years. I think it was 12 years all told. Knows the academy inside out, had numerous roles there, still friends with loads of the coaches, loads of the players, actually, to be honest. And honestly, it was a brilliant, brilliant conversation. So keep an eye out for that when it does come out. Would you take Henderson back, but not as a player, as a coach? Yeah, I think Milner's probably first in line for that one in terms of coming back to the club and in a coaching capacity. A lot of that will depend, I guess, on the perception and how we're sort of treating Jordan Henderson by the time that comes around. Because let's just say it hasn't happened and it was never likely to happen. Let's just say Henderson hung up his boots in Saudi because, for whatever reason, didn't enjoy it, thought he was done, whatever, and said, I want to come back to Liverpool as a coach right now. I don't think it would have been the right time. I think some water needs to pass under that particular bridge before he's welcome back to Liverpool in any capacity with open arms, if I'm being really honest. There are some that would just say, yes, sound, let's get on with it. I've seen some of that in the comments already, but there's a lot more, and there's a lot of people saying, no, I don't want him back at the club right now, for whatever reason, and you are perfectly entitled to those opinions. Mike's J haters, Antonio Silva is the guy we need. Yeah, another one who's been mentioned quite a lot. I'm going to have to do a good old scout on all these centre-backs have been linked with, including Kevin Mantilla from earlier on, because there's a lot of names flying around, and they're all in a similar sort of mould, a similar sort of bracket in terms of age profile, in terms of where they're playing, in terms of the amount they've played and stuff like that. So Liverpool have clearly got their eye on a particular type of player. It'd just be interesting to see which one we ultimately choose, to be honest. Oh, it wasn't you then. Sorry, somebody else brought up a very random. I think it's about Kylian Mbappe, but apologies, it wasn't you. That's very much my bad. Yeah, I think the Salah factor in Saudi does come into it ever so slightly. But yeah, whether Salah chooses that he wants to go there, can he be the one that instigates change in standards in the league and stuff like that? Who knows? Who knows? But we don't have to answer the Saudi question right now, which I think we can all be pretty pleased with, to be honest. Somebody mentions no. I'm going to say no. No, separately, potentially, but definitely not together. Somebody else mentioned something. There we go. Somebody there, Nat Phillips at Celtic. Yeah, it didn't work for him at Celtic. Celtic bought him as a bit of a panic, and that's no disrespect to Nat Phillips once again. But they had a couple of injury problems with a new centre-back that they'd actually just bought, and they needed somebody through the door quickly, and they went and got Nat Phillips. Now, Nat Phillips should have been a leading light in the Scottish Premiership for all his ability and all his experience and all his quality. It just didn't work out like that. And again, you have to question why and what that's all about. And does that then mean he is ready to play a part in Liverpool's push for a quadruple? I'll let you decide. There is one more news story I wanted to touch upon before I went. There's two, actually, but one of them I just can't be bothered talking about, but I'll touch on it briefly. One of them comes from Sweden. Liverpool have been discussing a move to sign Momodou Sonko. And if that's not Mamadou Sakho, just misspell, I don't know what it is, from BK Hacken, according to reports in Sweden. I did see the actual report itself. This is read from Team Talk, as you can see. There it is, Football Direct have said this. He's 18 years old. He is predominantly a left winger, but the asking price is in the region of 6 million. Now, he himself spoke about the interest from Liverpool as well, and he mentioned Jurgen Klopp calling him directly and the unlikeliness of that happening. But I did want to touch on his stats. I'll do that while I've got you. Right, now there he is, plays for Hacken, 18 years old, has been involved in Sweden squads, but yet to play there. I mentioned left wing, just going to get his season stats up there. Look at that, nice and quick. Happy days. There we go. 13 games, 4 goals, 1 assist so far this season, but they're left wing. Now, Liverpool have developed a bit of a knack and a bit of a liking to sign in young talent and allowing them to grow and be nurtured and eventually break into the first team. We've seen with Kate Gordon, a little bit of Bobby Clark this season, Ben Doak, Harvey Elliott, of course. So this type of transfer wouldn't be against Liverpool's policy, I think it's fair to say, certainly not for 6 million. But I think when you look at the first team squad now, we are very well stocked in the left wing department. Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez a little bit, Cody Gakpo, Diogo Jota. I don't think we need another left winger, lads, to be honest. But listen, if they proper like this Sonko and they think he's going to be a future superstar for 6 million, why not, I guess. And the final story I do probably need to touch upon. I'm just fed up and moaning about referees, as bad as they are. Anyone watched this last night? Let me know your thoughts. It was bad. We knew it was bad at the time. Howard Webb was speaking to Michael Owen about the decision not to award Liverpool a penalty, Martin Odegaard's handball, when he essentially plays basketball in the box. You can see it there. You can see the audio coming up there. The VAR and the assistant VAR chose not to award the penalty. Baffling, utterly baffling. But what made me laugh most about it all was when Michael Owen kind of queued up Howard Webb and was saying, oh yeah, what's your opinion on it? For me, this, for me. And I thought, he basically goes, for me, that's probably a penalty. And Howard Webb goes, yeah, I agree, yeah, it's probably a penalty. It's like, well, what's going on then, lads? There's another day, another PGMOL, incorrect decision, apology, error, whatever you want to call it. Honestly, like, it was weeks ago, and a lot of footy's happened since then. And it's not as abhorrent as the Tottenham one, so I'm not that annoyed about it. It's annoying, but I'm not that annoyed about it. And we beat Arsenal since as well, which helped soften the blow a little bit, but they're just so inept. It's just so bad. The standard officiating is so bad, and you can have your explanations as to why and whatever. I'm not asked. Ultimately, they're terrible at what they do, and I don't know why I ever thought VAR was going to fix it, because VAR just gives the same people a chance to watch it time and time again, but they're still equally as bad as their job as they ever were, and we're still getting the same incorrect decisions. It's just baffling, utterly baffling. Fool me for thinking that an opportunity to watch something in slow motion would make you come to the right decision. How stupid was I? Ultimately, argue amongst yourselves about Howard Webb and his gang of horrendous officials, but honestly, I'm so bored of it. Liverpool just needs to do the business and forget about everybody else, because we cannot rely on those lot doing the job properly, quite clearly. I'll dive back into the comments for one last time before I go. Hopefully, everybody's being nice. Yeah, Mr. J Mango, I absolutely agree with you, by the way. Just doesn't make any sense. But again, if we think he's Lionel Messi reincarnated or Henrik Larsson reincarnated, as he's Swedish, then maybe we just can't avoid signing him. Maybe it's just an opportunity too good to be true. But yeah, other than that, I'm not entirely sure. And listen, we've been wronged numerous times this season, and I get it. I'm also pissed off, but I'm more pissed off about talking about referees being bad than I am about referees being bad, which is saying something. But we move, absolutely. The standards are just utterly abysmal, aren't they? Sound, I think we're done. So if we need another left-footed centre-back like Colwill or Nkapia, yeah, I'd be, albeit like Diamande and Antonio Silva aren't left-footed and they're clearly on the radar as well, I would be a little bit surprised if our next centre-back signing wasn't that type of player. One of those two, maybe an Asho, left-footed, play centre-back, can play left-back. I would be really shocked. And that would make me question what our plan is moving forward in terms of the system and stuff, because the system as it is, with Trent fit, going into midfield just means you need, or not need, but you'd like a left-footed centre-half to play that role. If we don't do that, what does that mean for the future? Maybe we're going to revert back to the old 4-3-3, and we're going to have bombing full-backs forevermore. But yeah, ultimately, sound. I think that's everything. Liverpool still want Levi Colwill. Refs are still crap. Fabrizio Romano said we are looking at centre-backs. Momodou Sonko is a player Liverpool like. He's 18. He's also a left winger. Not sure about that. And I think that's it. Sound. You guys are boss. Thank you so much for getting involved as ever. Much, much appreciated. I think that's all the news. Yeah, I have seen that about Henderson's wife as well. A little bit of hearsay. It's probably a magnitude of factors that have meant it just hasn't worked out. And he's now off to Ajax. That was the other piece of news I didn't mention. Sound, you guys are genuinely the best. Thank you so, so much for getting involved as ever. See you again very soon. Take it easy.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the content today. If you want to get your name in and amongst these wonderful people, then head to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber. You're going to get free merchandise codes. You're going to get in our Discord, and you're going to get your name at the end of YouTube videos. Yes, redmenplus.com, Legend tier status.